All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. As you all know, we got King of the Table 11 coming up, so I wanted to do just a real quick recap of the matches that are scheduled and just how I feel about them as a whole. So leading off the card, we got Olig Petrenko and KGal Angerbayev. I think this is going to be super interesting. Obviously, Angerbayev only lost to Hutchings in that weight class, and that makes this match very interesting. Obviously, we saw Olig lose to John when John was early in his comeback, but he's looked extremely good, especially against Marcio last time. This will be a real interesting one. I'll be rooting for Olig, but I think KGal is probably the clear favorite. But again, I'll be rooting for Mr. Petrenko for sure. Next up, we got the comeback of Michael Todd versus Lars Bachman. This is a super interesting match, and I think it poses a very unique scenario for Michael, with a guy that can also flop wrist, can top roll, and has full shoulder commitment, which could be interesting to see him face Lars at 115 kilos, which is, I believe, where the weight's at. So Michael's going to probably have to maintain a lower weight. We'll see how that affects him, but I always support Michael for sure, and I'm very interested in seeing this match and hopefully following his continued comeback. I do think it's going to be a difficult one, but I'll look forward to cornering Michael for that match. Next up, we got my match, myself versus Lachlan Adair. I think most people who followed arm wrestling for the past few years know this is a match that was scheduled in the past, was set to happen in Australia several years back. During the WAL days, and some circumstances came up, and the match had to be canceled. So this one's a little long overdue, and the interesting aspect is now we're actually going to be meeting at a lighter weight. At that time, Lachlan was much bigger than me, but he's since cut down to 105, where he's hovering right around 105, 103, 104, and I'm working my way up to that weight. So I'm hoping for nothing less than a great show and a war. Can't say one way or the other. I'm putting in my absolute best into training and prep, and I'm looking forward to hopefully being entertaining, coming away with the W. Lachlan is a tremendous opponent, and a guy that I respect a lot in the sport for his professionalism and his work ethic. So it'll be an honor to face off against him. Next up, we got Ravaz Lutitsi and Georgi Ziranov. So we've seen Georgi in a ton of amazing wars. Obviously, Georgi was a little bit smaller of a guy now. Last time I seen him, he's notably bigger. So he's working his way up to that true super heavyweight. Ravaz is as close as you're going to get to a giant. He's had some great success in East versus West. I would have to make him a slight favorite for this match just based off of sheer size and mass. But if Georgi gets a stop, you know you're going to see a war. He hasn't had a match yet that wasn't interesting. Next up, we got Artem and Ivan Matyushenko. So since Matyushenko's made his comeback, obviously I was into arm wrestling a little bit later, and I didn't know, the extent of Ivan's career and his ability level. Now, after getting the opportunity to see him train and then also compete live several times, I have the utmost respect for this guy. He's somebody that never gets top rolled, never gets his hand taken. And to me, that's very admirable. To be able to force a hook on just about anybody you're pulling, regardless of where they want to go, is super impressive to me. The problem here is he's facing Artem who is ever evolving. Not only can he top roll, but he also can hook, and he has a ton of endurance. So I do think that Matyushenko will be able to turn Artem into a hook. I just don't know if he can finish. I think no matter what, we're going to see a war. I don't know how it's going to go score-wise. I would make Artem a slight favorite based off of sheer size and mass, but I wouldn't be surprised if Ivan can tie him up in a hook and make it really, really entertaining. And last off, we got Hermes versus Dennis. So this is a very meaningful match, and it's well worthy of being that main event, that top match on the card. Hermes obviously losing to Devin, slight setback, but we know exactly where Devin is after seeing him pull with Laban. I think, in my opinion, it's clear that he is the clear number 2 out there. Obviously, there's some other players with Gennady being on the shelf for a while, but I do think that Hermes, his trajectory is still climbing, and Dennis, although he has that awkward open top roll style half kings move, I think Hermes has the complete package to be able to finish that top roll. I think finish that with a top roll. I think that Devin kind of gave him the roadmap too, and the components that you need to have to be able to control Dennis's hand and actually finish the match. I think Hermes is a slight favorite in this one, but part of me wants to see Dennis's comeback continue. But I would give Hermes about a 60-40 favorite in that. So if you guys haven't, please go ahead and pre-purchase the pay-per-view for King of the Table 11. It will be on June 1st on Core Sports. So make sure you look it up on Google, Core Sports Arm Wrestling. You'll find it. You'll find a website there. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time.